What's up, everyone? Welcome to Inspired Forward. I'm Dan Trinidad, and I'm really excited about our guest today. It's Matt Johnson. Matt is the CEO of Pursuing Results. He's a musician. He is the one that has actually gotten me set up to do a podcast, and I give him, I'm making him better every week because he's dealing with the challenges of somebody that doesn't know what he's doing. Matt hosts his own podcast, a real estate podcast that if you haven't seen it, you got to find him and watch it. It's very informative and with new information every single week. Yeah. Today we're going to talk a lot about Partners Mortgage and how our company is a little bit different than the rest. And that's basically the focus of today's podcast. So welcome, Matt.
Thanks, Dan. I'm super pumped to be here, and you were explaining and sharing kind of your point of view on what a mortgage planner is, why you call your staff mortgage planners instead of loan officers, and I want to really dig into that because if anybody's thinking about kind of joining in that career path in general, and especially if they're thinking about joining Partners Mortgage, if that's something they've thought about, if they like what they hear on the podcast and they connect with you as a leader, I think they're probably wanting to know a little bit more about just what the culture is that you've created, who thrives in your environment, who doesn't thrive. That way they can see if they're a good fit or if they know somebody who might be. So that's kind of where I want to start, is just take me back to when you first started calling the people that are part of your company mortgage planners instead of loan officers, and why did you make that shift?
Okay, so it was probably about 20 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. We started calling our loan officers mortgage planners. In fact, prior to that, they were calling themselves loan consultants, loan officers. Mm-hmm. And we just look closely at what we really do, and we manage debt. We're a financial planner, manages an investment portfolio. We manage their debt, and generally their debt is real estate. And we started differentiating ourselves way back then, calling them mortgage planners. And those are the types of people we are attracted to, people that have the mindset of wanting to coach and consult the customer rather than just get them a mortgage. So we spend a lot of time looking at their situation, talking to them about their ultimate goals, and then advising them and giving them a couple choices of what it looks like if they go in this direction or if they go in that direction. And that has always differentiated how we operate. But over the course of the last 20 years, a lot of the great mortgage professionals out there have taken this path. Mm-hmm. Generally, the ones that don't last very long are just the rate quoters. Yeah. They look at it as just a transaction, not a long-term, lifelong relationship.
Yeah, and I think once you make that shift and you start thinking about the people that you work with as long-term relationships, especially as somebody is in the trenches, it's easy to forget that sometimes. When the next time they come along as a repeat customer might be 5 to 7 years from now, and you could be, most likely at another company or something like that. If right. There's been a lot of turnover in the mortgage space. And so a lot of loan officers don't even know where they're going to work at 2 years from now, let alone 7 years when they get those repeat customers. So right. I think you do have to kind of build a culture that focuses on attracting the right kind of people, because human nature is not built to take long-term consequences into account very well. And I think that's what I like about kind of the culture that you built. So you have this environment where you put that first. You can tell it comes down from the top in the way that you treat people, and you're really focused on the customer experience. So let's talk about that first, right? Because that's always the priority for you. If people are doing a good job, yes, there's production, yes, there's a little bit of competition and fun and enjoying and well-being and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, your priority from the top is always that the customer has this amazing experience. So let's talk about just what that ideal is and what that amazing customer experience looks like.
Okay, so a wow experience for us is really making every process of obtaining a home loan easy. That has to do with clear communication, being really conscious of delivering on what you say you're going to deliver. It has to do with your spirit. So if you truly are empathetic about where that customer is coming from, and you're trying to provide an incredible experience for them, it starts with your heart and your desire to just make it great. And when you're not looking at it as a transaction, when you're looking at, I really care about this first time home buyer. They've gone through these struggles in the past. They're so happy to be getting into their first home. They have a new baby on the way. They are going to be living down the street from their parents. Those are the kind of things that through building that relationship, you can empathize with and just, pour into them and become friends with our customers. And we've found that when we do that successfully, those customers, first of all, say great things to the real estate agents who are business partners of ours. They tell their friends and they come back. And for the most part, that's why we've lasted over 30 years now, and continue to get better and better every day. We in our industry, it's very competitive. We all basically have the same rates, similar programs, same process to get a loan from beginning to end. We may speak it in different ways, but a loan comes in and a loan goes out, and we're all pretty close. Where we compete is in our culture and in our mission, and our mission to wow customers is clearly setting us apart. And that is how our culture works, or how our culture operates. We've got a lot of driven, competitive people. We deeply care about the customer. We possess a lot of empathy and integrity, and that's really what our organization's about.
Yeah, and that actually partially answers the next question I was going to ask, which is to talk a little bit about kind of what you look for as a leader in the people that you put on your team. So we listed off a few of them. So obviously competitive, but I want to talk about competitive within the right type of competitive, the type of competitive that thrives while still being empathetic, because I'm sure you've seen when competitive manifests itself in negative ways, right? You get out of integrity. It's tempting to do that. So you obviously don't want people that do that, but let's talk a little bit about just how what competition looks like when you're still putting the customer first. How does that actually look?
Well, I mean, it's really competing with yourself primarily. We look at our numbers. We talk about specific goals individually with each of our mortgage planners. We try to exceed the prior month or compare last year. Activities, improving activities, increasing your numbers based off of your desired results and what you did in the past. Now, naturally, competitive people are looking at their peers and what are they doing. But generally speaking, I mean, everybody in our organization now, they are competitive, but they also share, they collaborate. So they're not selfish. They're not wanting to win at all costs, which means, potentially cheat or a lack of integrity or mislead somebody. That doesn't take place at all. They're competitive in that they get really excited because we celebrate, their success, and so they want to win, they want to succeed, but they not at the cost of the team. And we talk a lot about being a team. We've had periods in our lifespan as a company where we've had lots of people that were individual high producers, and it wasn't the culture that I found that's compelling, that will attract people that want to be here. You attract a bunch of individuals, and they don't appreciate the culture as much. They look at it as being all of them. And so we've found that, having and this has taken just lots of years of really looking at where people succeed and where people find joy in their workplace. And that is part of well-being, is wanting to work in a place that they're happy with, that they go in and they enjoy the people they work with. They make lots of money. They're learning lots of things. There's opportunities. And they're doing something of value, and we think that doing a home loan for somebody is a pretty important service that we offer.
Yeah. Well, let's dig into, because I mentioned the finding the joy in the workplace. I want to go deeper on that a little bit and maybe dig into the kind of the lifestyle. So when someone comes in and they come into your team, they're mortgage planner, and let's say they've got the right core values
Mm-hmm.
and they're the right person that fits into the culture, and they thrive. They start to
Mm-hmm.
do well. So they're doing well in terms of production. They are winning the competition with themselves in the sense that they are continually improving, right? Both in comparison to the team, but more importantly, in comparison to themselves. They're just getting better. So
Right.
tell me a little bit about like the lifestyle. What is the lifestyle like? What's the weekly or maybe monthly kind of lifestyle of an agent who succeeds in your organization, does well? What does that give them the freedom to do? Who does that give them the freedom to be? Talk a little bit about that part of it.
Well, if I understand your question correctly, I mean we've got a couple people that have joined our company in the last year and a half, where they came in, they viewed it initially as a job. When I met them and I interviewed them, I saw um, a lot deeper qualities. One of the guys is talked a lot about his father and talked a lot about his mother and talked a lot about his goals. And when he came in, he saw that we truly cared about his success, and he has grown. He came in as a new loan officer doing nothing, and last month he closed 8 loans, I believe, and he's been doing that fairly consistently the last 6 months. So and it's because I believe of his drive and our culture. I think that, and he's at the place now where he uh, has put an offer on a home that's being built that's gonna close in January. So he's fired up about his first home. He's a young guy, 29 years old, that just embodies what we're about. He comes to meetings wanting to share. He offers to help people. When he's not compensated to coach somebody or to manage somebody, he's bringing rookies on and mentoring them. And that's what our environment is like. We the last year or so, I've been looking at our brand and the future of the mortgage industry in our company,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when we determined that the customer experience has to be better than everybody else. And we rebranded, we remodeled our office. It's set up that's so customer friendly and inviting that people like to come in. We have competitors stop by frequently just to look at what we've done. When a customer comes into our office, they're offered coffees, different types of teas. They could have a glass of wine in the evening, or a beer. That we have sodas, waters, so they feel real comfortable. And then they're brought into a really nice application room or conference room that is high tech, and we're able to present to our customers in a way that is very informative and lends well to our brand. And that's how the process begins. If it's raining, we help them out to their car. We
Hmm.
get an umbrella. We do all kinds of things to just
Yeah.
make it just a nice experience. And so, back to your question, when people come in and work here, they really see our effort, or the efforts of everybody, in going after that customer experience. So if I do a good job at bringing the right people in, they blend right in and start contributing right away. And that's what we're seeing. Our new folks, people that, when I say new to the industry and new to our company,
Hmm.
blend in and contribute within 30 days. We have
Wow.
another woman that her past career has been more in executive leadership and management, employee management, and she wanted a career change, and she's driven as heck. But with her skills of coaching people and helping people and training people and motivating and inspiring people, that's what she's done. So she naturally does that, and she started that almost the second day she was here. So um,
That's
that
awesome.
yeah, really,
Okay.
it's really cool. I really
Yeah.
enjoy coming in here now because I'm seeing a really cool spirit. And the coolest thing at all is we're watching people's numbers grow by focusing on the mission. And so ultimately that's what they want. So they're not just coming here to have a good time and hang out with people that are really nice to them. They want to make money, and they want to be able to take care of their families and their financial futures. And so it's really about that, but it's how we get there that really matters.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I wanted to point out real quick, if you guys go to, if you're listening on the receiving end and you or somebody that you know is interested in talking with Dan a little bit more, so you guys can go out to partnersmortgage.com, just click on join our team. And there's actually a button where they can get onto a quick 15-minute chat with you. So Dan, just real quick, but to close us out, what can they expect on a quick chat with you? What do you like to cover? What do you hope that they walk away from that call with?
Well, so I'm definitely open to answering any questions they might have. What I try to do when I'm talking to somebody is really get where they're at, get what's missing for them, and seeing if we could fill that gap. It's and that takes just a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Why are you reaching out? What are your needs? What have you struggled with? What are a couple of your goals? And that can be done in 5 minutes. And if they have specifics like, how's your processing system work, or, what kind of technology, or what's your vision on the future? That's a conversation that is very compelling, and which generally leads to them wanting to come in and spend an hour looking at our office and seeing what we're about. And I don't put any pressure on people. I want people to really feel like, this is about an environment and a great place to be, not me trying to sell them on a bunch of BS that they come in and it doesn't exist. I want them to feel responsible to come in and contribute to it. I'm being really careful on the people we're bringing in to the organization now, because I've made mistakes in the past where, you bring somebody that violates some of the things you and I just talked about. Man, it rattles our culture, and then they leave, and then the gossip in the industry is people are leaving, and it takes a little while to patch that up, and I don't want to go through that stuff anymore.
Yeah, makes total sense. So, well, that's awesome. I appreciate it, Dan. This has been a really great conversation, and I think kind of a window into what you guys are building and the mission that you guys are on. And I hope anybody that's kind of watching that resonates with that mission reaches out, grabs a short conversation, and then sees what you guys are building in person, because it's worth seeing.
Yeah, I think so too, Maddie. You've been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show and adding such tremendous value and helping me become more relevant in the podcast space. I appreciate it. I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the learning. We're now it's hopefully get a little bit better each time, and we'll get there.
Yeah, it absolutely does.